Boom, it has come up. So the next thing we are going to do is we're going to click on this three bar. So clicking on the three bar there, and this is going to pop up. Then we're going to click on that part that looks like a plane shape. Then we're going to click on workspace. So clicking on workspace, then we're going to click at this point of our screen to return back. Then you click on create. So want to create a new project. So the project is a simple project. So you just click on HTML, which is this one that has a 5 HTML5 here. So you click on it. Then we're going to give the project a name. So I'm just gonna call the project compound. So compound interest. So that's what we're gonna call the project. So I'm gonna click on create. So, and boom, that is done. So it takes us directly to our main.js, which is a JavaScript file. So we are not doing any JavaScript now. So we're gonna start with the HTML. So you click back on your menu three bar. So this is what we have. So we have the index.html where you are going to write your HTML code. We have your main.js where you're going to write your JavaScript code, and we have your style.css where you're going to write your style sheets on the um, site. So already when you select your index.html, it has already been linked with your main.js and style.css. So this one is already linked with this and this, so you don't need to link it again. So we're gonna go back to our main screen to see what is there. So we have a lot of bunch of stuff here. So I'm not looking for anything. The next thing to do is you just go straight to your code, because we don't need to talk about linking and all those stuff again. So go to our body, because there's nothing there. Nothing there. Okay, so we are going to start our calculations and our calculator. So starting from the click on enter to give enough of space, so you know where to write your code and all that. So the first thing we're going to start with a div, a div with a class name of container. The class name of container. Container. Uh, so we're gonna give it a class of container. This container is going to contain everything that is going to be in our calculator. So the first thing, we need to create an input form that will receive the value of principal, that will receive the value of the rate and the year, and is going to display it again on another form. So the first one we're going to do is input. I'm going to create input. So I'm going to give it a type of number so that it accepts number. So because it's number that we expect to be, we want to insert there. So whenever you do that and you put number, for instance, let me run it so you see how it looks like. So I'm gonna have something like this up here. So whenever I click on this and I want to type you see what appeared is giving me a number pad where I can insert numbers. That means it's trying to tell me that I cannot insert letters on this except numbers. It's only numbers that is permitted to be inserted on this form. So that is why. So if like you have something like text there, you see that the normal keyboard like this is going to pop up. So that is that. So the type is here is number. We're going to give it a placeholder, so it's to tell us what to fill in the form there, not to don't just see a blank form. You know that when they give you a form to fill and you just see a blank form with just dash where you can fill things, but there's no they they didn't specify what you are going to fill there, you look confused. For instance, they gave you a form and they just give you dash, and maybe that place you're supposed to fill your name, but it was not specified there name, so you don't know what to fill. So we need to put a placeholder. So a placeholder is what is going to tell the user that this is what this particular form is for. This is what I want you to input in this particular place. So we're gonna call this the print. um, I'm gonna copy this line and gonna paste it. Then I'm gonna call this um, rates. Next one, input. Let me paste it here. I've copied it once, so call it um yeah. That's what the user is gonna input, a year. Then the next one we're gonna put there is gonna be a submit button. So a submit button does not need a placeholder, so we don't need a placeholder there. So what we need for submit button is a value of value. So we're gonna give it a value of calculate. Sorry, calculate. So whenever you click on this submit button, it's gonna compute your answers. Then we're gonna create another input where the values are going to be displayed. Sorry. So for mistake, I'm gonna paste it there too. Okay, so this one is still gonna be number. Then here is going to be our compound interest. So I'll call this instead of putting compound interest. Okay, let me put compound interest. So I'm gonna run this and let's see how it looks like on our page. So now look how it looks. So here's our principal, our rates, our year, compound interest, and calculate button. So we're gonna style this and make it look nice using CSS. So we're gonna click on this style.css, which is this one over here. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna give our body a background color. We're gonna give our body a background color. Okay, so a background color of let me say gold. The background color of gold. So then the next thing, if you look at our code, you notice that we have a container here. So this container is what we are gonna style now. We're gonna style this container, so we're gonna call the container on our style sheet. So go back to your CSS and write dot container, then you're gonna open a curly bracket, click on enter. So when you click on enter, so we're gonna give it a background color. You can pick any color. Let me put black. Okay, so now we're gonna, because even if we run this, we'll discover that it is not arranged. So look how it looks like. So we're gonna arrange it. So first, to stay vertical, it will arrange, they will arrange themselves vertical, including the button that is staying one side is going to arrange itself vertically. So we're gonna say justify justify content. Justify content is going to make them align themselves at the center of the container. Align all the forms at the center of the container. Then align items, we still put it at center. So let's run this and see how it's gonna look like. Okay, yeah, this actually look nice but weird. Nice but weird. Not really nice. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna give our container um a gap. So I can give them a gap of 5 pixels. A gap of 5 pixels. Yeah, for the container. Then the next thing is themselves. I'm going to um give them a height. I'm going a height of, let me just say, a height of 50 pixels. 50 px. Px means pixels. So a height of 50 pixels. Then let's run it. I'm gonna see how it looks like. Okay, a little bit nice. It looks a little bit nice. So the next thing we're gonna do is, in our container we're gonna give it a padding, because the form is really close to the distance. So we're gonna give it a padding of 5 pixels. 5 pixels. Okay, so we're gonna run it and see how it looks like too. Okay, I think this is a little bit okay. So good, good, and good, and the button. So now we're gonna be getting from the we're gonna be getting information from the forms. So after done styling it, so I think this form look nice like this. It looks nice, so you can do further styling on your own. You can put padding radius, you can put this in. So we are not actually into that. What's our main um, point here is to make this functional. So now that we are done with this, then we're gonna move to JavaScript. So moving to JavaScript, so JavaScript is what gives a web page its interactiveness, its functionality, makes it looks lively and interactive to user. So want it to, whenever we insert in values and click the calculate button, it's going to make the calculation for us. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna create a const. This const is used to store variables, to store informations. They are just like memory, small little memory used to hold information. So I'm going to store an information in this const of principal. So I've stored information inside this principal that I've created. The information I want to store, I've created a memory. This is a memory. Just take this principal as a memory where you can use and store something. So this memory, I want to store something. So in the document of my page, in this document, I want you to put on the query selectors. Now I want the query selector to select a file. So you put your code to select a file that have this feature. So we're gonna look for the file. So the file has what is called placeholder is equals to principal. So we're gonna copy this. So we're gonna copy it. Okay. So we go back to our JavaScript. So we want to look for this thing that has something like this. So we're gonna look for a square bracket to put it there so that it won't interfere. Place this there, then I close it. So now I want to know if it has actually selected this. So to know if selected it has selected, our principal was able to select the information there. We just say console log no, let me do this way. I've gotten the information there, so I want to say I want to create an event that will listen to a click. So an event that will listen to a click. So whenever I click, then something should happen. So I'm creating an event. So the event name is click. So I'm going to give the event the second. An event listener has two parameters. One is for the event listener and the second one is for the function. So the function that is going to run. So the first one is the event that is listening to a click. So whenever I click, something should happen. The function that is I'm going to put here should run. So what's the function that will run whenever I click? So I'll put an anonymous function. So let me put an animals function, and um, and a curly bracket. So console.log console.log. Then uh, whenever I click on that particular element, it should be principal dot the value. So I want it to print the value of whatever I'm going to type in there whenever I click on it. So now what am I going to click in particular? I haven't specified what I'm going to click, so I want to specify it now. So you notice that I created a submit button, which is this one here, this submit button. So I'm going to select these two, type dot submit. So I'm going to copy this. So copy. Sorry, I've forgotten that copy doesn't work. So you press this and you press V. So good. So I'm gonna go back to this, and I'm still gonna create another one. Yeah, another const that is going to store a variable. So the button should be submit. Document dot query selector. So, sorry. So that I'm gonna add my square brackets, then Control V, then close the square brackets. So I'm gonna bring the select here. So sorry, the submit here. Submit dot. So whenever I click on the submit button, add an event listener to that submit button that will listen to a click. Then whenever the click is being executed, let the value that is inserted on the principal shows up. So that is what this code is about. So gonna run it and see what's gonna happen. So now I'm going to put 800. So before we do that, let us put on our console. So this is our console. So 8000. So that's it. So when I click on calculate, I think I need to correct something on the code. So let's go back to our HTML. So what's missing? Oh, I haven't specified the type. So the type, sorry, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. I'm undoing all the stuff there. No, I don't know how long I'll be undoing this. Okay, so that is okay. So type is submit. So let's run this now and see how it looks. Okay, so I'm gonna put 800, then click on calculate. It's not responding, so let's go to our code and see where the issue is from. Okay, so this is where the problem is. We are not dealing with, aren't dealing with placeholder, dealing with um is equals to, then a quote, then submit, then close the quote. So I think that's what we're dealing with. Sorry for that. So let's run this and see how it looks like. Okay, so let's try it again to see. 5 8, then calculate. Yeah, so now it's working. You can see whenever I click on the calculate, it is calculating it for us. So that's settled. So now we're gonna go into the real calculation. Or we have not finished getting the whole things we need for our calculator to be complete. We have only gotten the principal and the submit button, so we need to do the same to we need to do the same we need to do the same for others. Okay, so we're going to change this to rates and change the placeholder to rates. Okay, so we're going to do another one. So we're going to change this to year and also change this to year. Okay, so now we have gotten for the year, rate, and so remain one, which is the compound interest. So the compound interest, I'm gonna press Ctrl V to paste. So I'm gonna call the compound interest CI. So come here and type, I think we type something for the placeholder. What was that? Compound. We called it compound, so we're gonna type compound there. Compound. So and that's it. So the next thing we're gonna do is having gotten storing all our information, which is the principal. Let me give space so you see the principal, the rate, the year, and the compound interest. We have getting everything plus including the submit. So now it's about to make our calculation work, our calculator work. So the first thing is we are going to create a variable according to the formula, which is um, let's go and check our formula again to see how it looks like. I don't know if I've deleted it. Okay, so look at the formula. We have p open brackets 1 plus r all over 100 close bracket raised to the power of n. So want to solve that, want to calculate that. So first of all, what we need to do is we need to do the calculation of 1 plus r all over 100. That's the first thing we need to do. So the one at the center before the p and n, so we need to calculate the one at the center first, at the middle first. So I'm gonna open it. So we're gonna start. So I'm going to create a variable, call it cal1. So I'm creating a variable, I'm calling it cal1. So calling it cal1, put equals to, then it's going to get the rate of the value. So in bracket I'm gonna put rate dot value, which is the, then I'm going to divide it by 100. So slash means divide by 100. So I'll divide. Now the next thing is I'm going to do is to add it with a 1. Then we're going to close our statement. Yeah. So that's for this thing. So we're going to check it to see if it's working. So we're going to say console.log. So then we're gonna console log cal1. So don't forget that we are dealing with the rate. So on inside the rate I'm gonna put 500 or 500. Then when I click on the submit, let's see what's gonna happen. You see it gives us 6. So if our rate is 500 divided by 100 is how many? That is 5. Then plus 1, that is 6. So it is correct. So that one is working fine. So the next thing we're gonna do is we are going to raise whatever our answer is to a power. We are going to raise it to a power. So how can we do that? We have a math function or a math class concatenate with a function, a method, which is called power. So we know that we are raising it to the power of something. So we're gonna say var. Var is also used, I've forgotten to explain what var stands for. Var is also used to store information, just like const, but they have little differences, right? Which in another of my class I'm going to explain what the difference between the variable and constant is. So starting with var, we have cal2. I'm gonna call this cal2 is equals to. So now that we have that, the cal2, we're gonna say call our math function. So use capital letter M, then ATH math. So you see it's giving us a color which looks like light green or yellow green, stuff like that. So we're gonna put the function power. So putting that power, now the power is telling us that it requires two parameters, which is x and y. That means the number that is going to be raised to the power of a certain number. So what we want to raise to power is cal1. So we're going to call cal1, which is this one here, that is storing the value of what we have here. So this cal1, we are going to say cal1, then we'll put a comma, should be raised to the power of whatever the value of year is. So we're going to put year there. So that's for this thing. So now whenever we insert it and raise it to the power of year, we expect to get our answers. So we should not forget to add dot value. I always forget to add value. That means we are not dealing with ordinary year, but we are dealing with uh, complete the real value of the year. There's difference between typing year like that, then adding dot value. So we are trying to get the value that the user is going to input. So now let's see that and check to know if it's working. So I'm going to change this console stuff to 2. So let's see. So assuming our principal, okay, we're not doing principal, we are dealing with rate. Our rate is 10%. Then for 2 years, so I'm going to click on calculate, and boom, and that's it. So we can see that it's 1.28. so that 10 divided by 100 will give us, I think, 1 point, uh, 1 point, or 0.00 stuff like that, 0.01 and all that, right? For the calculation of 18, then plus 1 is going to give us 1, then raised to the power 2 is going to give us this value we have here. So whatever calculation that is there. Now the next thing is, that is for the cal 2. So we want to multiply it with the principal based on our formula. So to multiply it with the principal, we're going to create another variable, which is var. This one is going to store our answer, our final answer. So variable of answer. So what do we want to see in the answer? So our answer is going to be cal 2, cal 2, then multiply. I'm going to multiply it with principal, the principal value, the value of the principal inserted by the user. So that is it. So now then we want to console this thing. So I'm gonna say Control X to pull that guy. I'm gonna end my statement here, then Control V to paste it here. So I'm gonna change this to answer to see what's going to happen. I hope I have not created anything like answer. Yeah, so I don't want the code to clash together. So now I'm gonna run it and see how it looks like. Okay, so if I put a principal of 1000 naira, then a rate of 10%, and I'll be running it for 2 years. No, let me say 3 years. So let's click on the calculate. So at the end of 2 years, I'll be having 1331 naira and 000 and all that. Okay, so I think this is working just fine. So now we don't want the answer to be printed on the console log, so press Ctrl X to get rid of the console log. We want it to be on the place where answers do display. So we're gonna say compound. So we're gonna say compound dot value. So the compound dot value, that means I'm selecting this compound. Sorry, I did not call it compound. I've forgotten that I called it CI. So I'm gonna get rid of this and call CI. I thought that I was dealing with this compound here, forgetting that not this one. I'm dealing with the variables themselves. So ci dot value, so the value of ci is equals to our answer. So now let's run this and see how it looks like. Okay, so a principal of 1000, a rate of 10% for 6 years. Then I click on calculate. Okay, so it's working fine. So we have 1771 naira, right? So it's working, but the issue we have here, our value is becoming much after the point we have 0.561000, and we know that money always have ends with 2 decimal. For instance, we have 100 naira or 200 naira something kobo, so our kobo always have a 2 decimal. So to correct that, we're gonna put come carry your cursor to where your answer is. Then we're gonna create a method. Dots. So the method is going to be to fixed. So we're gonna put 2 there. So we are trying to say that I want you to fix the answer to 2 decimal place, approximate it to 2 decimal place. We all know approximation at school. They always teach us to approximate. So we're gonna approximate to 2 decimal place. So let's see how it looks like. So we're gonna say 500, rate of 58 year for 2 years. Then I'm gonna click on calculate, and whoa, our answer is in 2 decimal place. So that is where our answer is, in 2 decimal place. So thank you for watching this, and please don't forget to subscribe and like, please. I'm begging you. And also that will also encourage me to drop more tutorials. And if you have any comments or anything at all, please, or any question, please drop it on the comment section below. Then I'll try my best to answer you. If there's anything you want us to improve on this, please drop it there, and I'll also answer you. I'll give a solution to that. So thank you, and have a nice day.